Steve Roberts.
Steve Roberts.
Welcome to CamTalks.
My tooth is just falling out.
Oh, bless you. Oh, that's what happens with old age, Steve.
No, it's not. It's pork crackling.
Pork crackling. Oh,
and then put on the barbecue.
Oh, was that recent?
Yep. I'm waiting for a tooth.
Oh, fantastic. Well, look, at least history will remember you for being the toothless man. Yeah. Bless you. I've also experienced a similar thing in an Italian restaurant, believe it or not. I lost a tooth when meeting my girlfriend's father for the first time.
He didn't hit you?
He didn't hit me, no. I thought it was a bit weird slurping spaghetti through one tooth, which a bit strange. But look, Steve, thank you so much for coming into the studio today.
Delighted.
You know, you're not the first States member we've had on this show, but I think this has been such a fun experience to find out a bit more about you, your life, and anything you want to say, mate. I mean, that's what this is all about, really.
Okay.
So what is your experience of podcasting? Have you ever been on a podcast?
No, I've never been on a podcast. I've watched yours.
Fantastic. Avid fan.
Yeah, of course. And I've watched one or two other podcasts, but I've never actually broadcast my own, or thought about it, or actually knew how to do it.
Wow, fantastic.
I'm of that generation, remember.
I mean, I wouldn't even take a guess of your age, Steve. Right, okay. I wouldn't want to wobble you.
It's very kind.
But you've been such a legend on this island for many, many years. Obviously, a States member since 2013.
That's right.
You know, you worked with Aurigny for the best part of 21 years, was it?
21, and I worked a couple of years for ex-Aurigny as well.
What was ex-Aurigny?
Ex-Aurigny was, your dad would know him, actually, Brian Rayward and Wrinkley. And all that, they had another airline that ran there, and I started at Alderney Airport working for that airline until they went bust.
And then was that prior to Aurigny?
Prior to Aurigny, I then moved across the floor and worked for Aurigny because Aurigny asked me to go and work for them. So yeah,
interesting. Right. Well, before we get to that part of your life, why don't you take us back to the very beginning? Where were you born? Where did it all begin?
Well, my family are all from Alderney, apart from my father. My father was an airman, and an aircraft crashed here in 1937. It was called Hadley Page Harrow, which was the predecessor of the Lancaster bomber. And he was a tail end Charlie, you know, the rear gunner on the plane. So they left 5 men here to guard it because it was sensitive weapons and stuff like that. And we were not on good terms with Eastern Europe at that time. And they left him to guard it with 5 others. And they were billeted at Telegraph Tower, and he met Mum in the Bellevue in the pub.
Wow, that's so lovely.
Girl. She was a local girl.
Wow. And so you grew up...
he was 19.
He was 19.
Mop of black curly hair, yeah.
Brilliant. You grew up on Alderney there your whole life?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Of course, yeah.
Went to St Anne's School?
St Anne's School, yep.
And was this... Because I think Dougal told me that... You weren't in the same year as Dougal, were you?
No, he's far older than me.
Is he really? Is he?
No, I go through all the teachers, Miss Keane, Mrs. Oliver, Miss Stewart, Mr. Bissell, and through to Mr. Jeffers. All those teachers, and a lot of them, and they stayed for years, those teachers, and they were wonderful to us.
Was this in the where the museum is now?
It is, yeah.
Because the school moved from where the museum is in town, just down by
I left school when I was 14 years old.
Yep. What did you do?
Well, I went to work for the steelworks. There was a steelworks used to make silencers here, down where Blanchard's is, and they made silencers for export. And that carried on for a short period. And then after that, I moved on to work on the land with the Oswaltons, growing. I was a young boy, 14-year-old, hard work. And worked doing that, cutting cauliflowers and things with a basket on my back, walking down, cutting these things, Not much of a career, not much of an outlook, but who knows, here I am. So.
Wow, you're a real Alderney boy.
I'm a real Alderney boy, yeah.
So tell me then, so you spent a bit of time working the fields, working the factories.
That's right.
What was, so Air Sardinia, is that correct?
Sarnia,
sorry. Sardinia. Yeah. What was the air transport links like to Alderney when you were
growing fantastic. Up? Yeah. They were much better than what they are now.
That's mad. But we're talking like trips to the UK, France, the rest of the Channel Islands. But what was it like? What was the connections like?
You could travel to any of those places. In fact, I'm writing a piece at the moment on the original starting of Aurigny and past, the present, and what I see as the future. I'm writing something at this very moment in time. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, look, hopefully, I mean, we will get on to Aurigny then. But what was it like, sort of like in terms of going into the air transportation industry? I mean,
well, this I think it all stemmed from Dad, because Dad was in the Air Force, you know. And I always admired him for that. Although he didn't bring me up, I was brought up with the Rose, because my family split up when I was a very young boy, and the family went in 5 different directions. And I ended up with Archie Rowe here. And it was, you know, it was a farmer's life. It was a hard life. I never experienced a lot of love, but they were very good to me, if you understand what I'm saying. They weren't that way inclined. And he was one of the Rose who fought in the First World War, and he had a big hole in his back, and this was caused by a shell. And he was in northern France, and he was a gunner. And the guy that was in charge used to call him Gunner Woe. He had a speech impediment, Gunner Woe. And they sent him on this particular day, go, we need ammunition, send a message, take the message, we need ammunition up here for the guns. So he went, and he got about a quarter of a mile away from their gun, and it took a direct hit.
In his back?
No. The gun took a direct hit.
Oh, the gun.
Killed them all.
Jesus.
But a piece of shrapnel stuck in his back and knocked him to the floor. He managed to crawl, half walk, to a cottage in northern France. And when he got into the cottage, it was full of soldiers sheltering. And one of them was firing out of the window at the planes going over, the German planes. And he said, somebody said to them, you bloody fool, you're never going to hit with a single shot. You're not going to do anything. And they kept firing. He says, one of them pulled the piece of shrapnel out of his back.
Ooh.
And so he wasn't in a good way. So that was the end of Archie's war, if you like. And his wife was still living here, and they came home. He told me a funny story once about somebody that lived on Little Street. And what they'd done, he'd bought some false teeth off a dead German. And he brought them to Alderney for his wife.
Hell of a present.
Well, they didn't have money those days, you know, and you know, dentists and things. So he bought these false teeth for him. They were okay, he said, but they used to make a lipstick out a little bit. Okay. Well, that was a true story.
Yeah.
And another time he told me about the gambler out in northern France, and the guy had gambled his helmet, and they were on the march through some town in northern France, and there was the guy lying at the side with white stuff coming out of his head.
So tell me, because I mean, this is like post-war Alderney is full of veterans.
I need to go further back for a moment. Be very quick.
You go further back than the post-war?
Yeah. My great-great-grandfather came from Cornwall, and they lived in Cornwall. His name was Roe Buckingham. Okay, and the family accused him of stealing a sixpence, and he had a massive row with them, and left the family and came here. And he dropped half of the family name. He dropped the Buckingham. I'll never be Buckingham again. I'll just call myself plain Roe. So he was always known as Roe because of the injustice of him being accused of stealing the sixpence. Because there's a lot of money probably in those days. But that sixpence changed his life, changed the whole course of his life. And he came to Alderney and farmed. He had some sons, And one of them was my great-grandfather. And the other one was his son's was Matt Rowe. And Matt Rowe built the Cashelier at the back of the island, Cashelier. And Matt had spent some time in America, and he'd made money out there. And he was an entrepreneur, and he came back to Alderney and built, and that's why they called it Chicago. That's the nickname of it. It's called
because that's where the money came from.
Because that's where he came from. He came back from Chicago, and he did a lot of entrepreneurship. I believe he was a juror here. I think he was a states member here. He was a very important man at that time. It was my great uncle. I'm very proud of that link here. Because Alderney must have been a very, very, very different place. I mean, I've seen photos of him standing outside on top of Crabby, and it's covered in sand.
Crabby has sand?
Sandy beach, sandy road, beautiful white sand, like Bray.
So what happened to Crabby?
Don't know. You tell me. I suppose all the building and everything taken from the sea, gravels, I suppose. I don't know. It was beautiful. Lovely beach.
Are we going to start a campaign? Bring back Crabby?
Yeah. And his house used to be right in the front. You know where the house is right in the front?
Yes.
But it was huge. It was much bigger than that. It was pulled down by the Germans. It was. I think it was 15 chimney pots there or something. It was a big place he had there because he was well off, and he made a lot of money. And I remember that they used to run the stone at the back of the Cashelier. And two of my uncles, my grandfather and my other uncle, were in a fight down there. They worked down there for him, and they were in the fight, and nobody could break up the fight. And it went on for half an hour, the fight did, and till my Uncle Matt turned up and sorted them out and split them up. But yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Family feuds, eh?
Family feuds,
but
yeah.
Going back centuries.
But you can see what I'm saying. In the 1800s, when he got accused of stealing that sixpence, it ended up with him coming to Alderney, and it changed his whole life. My grandfather. And these boys that wouldn't have been born to Alderney's sons, would never have existed. I wouldn't have existed. My grandfather wouldn't have existed. So
all over a sixpence.
All over the sixpence.
Wow.
After that, the family split up, as I said, and I was fostered by an uncle, Archie Rowe. Lovely people, farmers here, local farmers. There was 15 farms here at that time.
15?
15, yeah, 15. I remember when we caught in 57. We got foot and mouth disease here, and it devastated. I think there was about one farmer got away with it, and it devastated the community, and only half of them went back into it. They got compensation for the lost cattle, but yeah, so that was it. So I stayed there till I was, as I said, 14, and then I went back to live for a short period with my father, who I hadn't lived with before I was a little toddler, and that didn't really work out, and so I went on from there, working on the land and for the steelworks. I left Alderney for a bit to go and find my fortune, but it didn't work because I ended up homeless, and I was homeless for 3 years. And I always support the homeless. I always feel sorry for them, because you don't know the stories behind it. The story of me becoming homeless was due to my family splitting up. I don't blame them. They're human beings. That happens, right? But I was so unhappy as a little child. As I got into a teenager, I seemed to expect less of people now. Not in a very good way. I expected less because I thought all people, might let you down at some point. And I felt that all my life. But I've been blessed with the most marvelous people that I've met in my life that have actually pulled me out of it again and again, and it's more often been women. More often, they have actually put me on the street and narrow. I got to know my father in later years, when he got to his 80s, 70s, 80s, and I got to know him very well, and I loved him dearly. He was a dear, dear man, and I didn't realise that until I got later. Sorry, I feel a bit emotional about that, my father. He's a lovely man. But I taught him to say, I love you. It's not, in the old days, they never used to do it. I taught him that. I could say, I love you. Every time he left my house, he used to turn his head to the door, shuffle his feet, smile at us, and say, love you, see you later. And it's great.
That's amazing.
And from that. So anyway, as I said, I left here.
And where did you go to?
I ended up homeless. I went to Guernsey first, and then ended up Bristol, and in Nottingham, in Birmingham, and totally homeless. I know the hopelessness of it. I know what it's like to be robbed. You know, I know what it's like to walk a distance, hitching a lift with no bag, nothing, no possessions whatsoever, nothing, not knowing when you're gone or what was going to happen to you. It's just a hopelessness feeling. But I wasn't unhappy in some way. I was okay. I could manage it. Youth is a great help to you when you've got youth on your side, because you've got energy, you've got strength, you've got your looks, you've got everything else. And you know, I was in after 3 years of it, and I can't go into so many scrapes that I got into because I couldn't. There was too many. But 3 years on the homeless, I suddenly thought one day, you know, you've got to get out of this, man. You know, you're not going anywhere. You're not. You've got no direction. You don't see the family here. I never saw the family here. They didn't know where I was. So I went to a train station, and I thought, I've got to get out of Birmingham. I've got to go. I don't know where I was going. And I went into New Street Station in Birmingham, and I said, can you, I had 60 pence, or the equivalent to 12 shillings, 60 pence. Can I have a ticket, please? And the guy looked at me like I was crazy. He said, where? I said, I don't know. I said, and he looked at me again. He said, where do you want to go? I said, well, I don't know. How far will 60 pence send me? And he said, take you to Nottingham. Never been before. Right. There's your ticket. Sold me a ticket and shook his head like I was a nutter. No, I wasn't a nutter. I just needed to go in a different direction. And I got to Nottingham that night, and I remember sleeping out near Sneinton, a place down there. And in the morning, I went down to the square. I was a young man, I remember, in my late teens. And I remember going out the square, and I met some guys down there. I'm Scottish and different guys. They said, where are you living or so? I don't know yet. I was going to look for a derelict house, because I usually slept in derelict houses and places like that, you know, because there was lots of boarded up houses in that day, tinned up, lines of them, and I used to just pull the tin off and go and kip in there, amongst other places. And they said, well, look, we've got a squat down St Anne's Well Road. Why don't you come and stop there? You can doss on the floor if you like. So I thought, oh, fantastic, you know, that was a good start. So I went to their place, and somebody gave me a sleeping bag. They were so kind to me. They were nice people. They were poor, but they were really good to me. And I stayed there a couple of weeks. And then one day, that 60 pence had taken me to that place. One day, I walked into a cafe, and I sat down, and I was talking to a couple of friends, and a lady walked in, a young lady, and she became my wife for 38 years.
Wow.
And within 2 years, we had 2 paper shops, and she didn't have money, but she just guided me, if you like. And had 2 children in Nottingham with her, and I came back home, and I had a further child, the child that you know well, Holly, is my daughter, in Alderney. So that was a big turning point in my life, and we came back in the 80s to Alderney, and I started work at ex-Aurigny, and then they went bust, and so I went to Aurigny, which was probably the happiest job I've ever had.
I mean, well, look, before we get on to Aurigny, I want to thank you for telling me that story, because I think I mean, that's why I love doing this. I never knew any of that, and I can imagine it must have been tough. I spent 8 years in Manchester, and the homeless crisis up there is truly difficult. I mean, what do you think the people in normal life who never considered homelessness, what's the biggest thing that they sort of misunderstand about the issue?
Well, I don't know. I think it was very different in those days. There weren't the places you could go. There wasn't the hostels and things like that. They just didn't exist. You were homeless, so you were just a waste of space, you know. And you could get a job, but you had nowhere to stay. And then it just didn't never work out that way. It didn't. It was like it was a feeling of hopelessness. I felt hopeless for some time and useless. And as I said, it was such a turning point going to Nottingham that day and making that decision. And that actually, it was a ticket man that made that decision for me, because he sent me to Nottingham, right? He sent me to Nottingham, right? And that changed my life. Which brings me back to coincidences. You remember the story I was telling about my great-great-grandfather?
The sixpence.
The sixpence, right? They accused him of stealing 6 pence. So he ends up in Alderney because of that row. And I ended up in Alderney because of the 60 pence ticket that the ticket man sold me, that I didn't know where I was going. And that was, there's a link there. And my life was totally changed, and his life was totally changed, you know.
Well, so beware if anyone offers you £6 for something, just take it.
I will this time.
Yeah.
But after that, I mean, following on from that, I lost my first wife in 2009, and I was lost. I was completely lost for a long time. And 2 years later, I got very ill. I had a heart attack, and shortly after that, I got incurable cancer. So I would beware anybody that has a bereavement to look after themselves, because it hit me 2 years later. It came in. But there again, I met somebody marvelous, right? And I remarried in 2015, who helped me through my illness and has shored me up. And it's another lady. And as I said, I've been so lucky with the ladies in my life. They've been fantastic, you know, and without them, it just wouldn't have happened, because as I said, I was brought up without a normal relationship, without a mother type figure, without a father type figure. My father, they were here, but I never visited. They never visited or anything. They never came to see me or anything. But that's okay. That's fine. As I said, I don't expect too much of people. I'm quite comfortable with that. Doesn't mean that I run my life that way. I hug my kids every time I see them, and I love them to bits. They are your greatest wealth. No matter if you own 5 houses, 10 houses, hotel, or you rent, your children are your greatest wealth that you will ever have in your life. And you have to recognize that. They're your greatest wealth. And it's my kids. I mean, I get on great with my kids, and they all love me, I think. I'm sure they do. And I all love them. And my grandchildren too. They're just the same.
I really appreciate it. This is an amazing story. Behind every good man's a great woman, right?
Well, maybe, if you get one.
They're hard to find these days.
If you're lucky. And I've been lucky, you know. I've just been so lucky in my life. So, and I make friends, and you got to try and be good to people. You got to try and smile, and not be miserable. Get out of bed, and if you've got worries, just try and smile it off, and you have to do that. Really, even if your tooth falls out.
Oh, well, bless you. Thank you very much for still coming as well. I really appreciate it. I would have definitely made any excuse not to come onto this podcast today, but I'm very, very grateful you have. I want to take a quick break now to thank Alderney Electricity for sponsoring this podcast. On an island of just 2,000 people, sometimes it can be quite easy to take the energy that we have for granted. But behind every light switch is a team of electricians, engineers, and administrators working hard to keep us going. And they don't just power our homes, they power our community. Through local sponsorship like this, Alderney Electricity continues to support the events, the projects, and of course the stories that bring this island together. So Alderney Electricity, thank you very much for keeping our lights on and for sponsoring this podcast. So you ended up, obviously after coming back to Alderney, you got yourself a job up at the airport.
I did.
With this amazing airline, apparently. And then when you joined Aurigny, I mean, was Aurigny a startup?
Aurigny was an amazing airline. Airsignia tried to be, but they went bust. But Brian Raywood was a good guy, and Ebenezer Rinkley. I mean, they were all friends of the Georgian, and everybody knew them down there.
So tell me, how did Aurigny start?
Aurigny started in 1968, and I'm doing a lot of research on names at the moment, on exactly who started. But I know where it started, and the first conversation was in the Albert House.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've got that far back. So,
and that was.
I want to get that down on paper.
Is it Sir Derek?
Sir Derek Bailey.
Sir Derek Bailey.
Yeah, but it was a couple of other guys as well.
A couple of other, and
Sir Derek, but he provided the finance.
What does Aurigny mean then?
Well, Aurigny, it means Alderney, of course. But when the States of Guernsey bought Aurigny in 2003, they made a statement of why they'd bought it, because of the slots and everything else, and those slots are worth a lot of money now. But they said in the statement in the assembly in Guernsey, they said that Alderney would never have to worry about its airlinks again from Guernsey. Okay, and I don't like the way it's going at the moment. I really don't, because I could go into that. Would be another story. That wouldn't be my life story. I would love to do a separate story on that at some point.
Well, it seems to me that, I mean, because you spent 21 years with Aurigny, so you know
so many funny stories.
You understand the operations and the value of an airlink.
Yeah.
One thing that I loved growing up, obviously I went to school in Southampton, but we'd come to Alderney, 6, 7, 8 times a year, and you'd get to the check-in desk in Southampton, immediately they'll know who you are. Morris. I used to love Morris. And then you'd see this amazing yellow plane with a big red nose on it called Joey.
Yep.
And Joey was just, to a young boy who was reading these comic books about Joey, getting onto Joey, flying over here, that lovely sound of a Trilander.
Yeah.
And then on my birthday, I'd get a birthday card from Joey.
And Auntie Jo.
And where that
I was speaking to her today.
Really? Yep. So how did Joey begin then? What's the story behind Joey?
I don't know. I'd have to ask her.
Well, do find out, because I think that's the biggest loss that we've all felt, because there's something about airlines that really care about their customers. Aren't just doing it. They're not just saying they're doing it. They actually do it. And the one thing that I think everyone would agree with, that yes, Aurigny's had management problems in the years, and the higher ups have always been a bit of a Game of Thrones, but then the people on the ground have always just been the most helpful,
amazing,
and the people that have such empathy, and if your flight is cancelled for whatever reason,
a lot of that is still there.
Yeah, massively. And Steve Perillo's still killing it right now.
There's another guy that was up there the night before last, and a couple came by and they hadn't got their hire car and they couldn't get in touch, and they were having problems with their phones and stuff. And straight away, one of the boys, I'm not going to mention his name, one of the boys said, "Well, where are you staying?" I said, "Well, we're staying at Bray Beach." "Oh, don't worry about taxi. I'll take you." Put their bags in the car, off the end. And I said to them, "Where else would you get that?"
Yeah.
And they went, "Nowhere." So it still exists.
But do you think that Aurigny has sort of unknowingly positioned itself in a way that has to look more global now and forgets about, why it was founded in the first place?
What a shame. They tried to stretch their wings too far. And they're flying to different destinations, different everything. If they'd have kept it sort of just a Pan Island job with a Gatwick, with a Southampton, and an Alderney and a Jersey, I think they would have been fine. They started all these different aircraft. You remember that?
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, of
All
course.
these bigger aircraft, and that's what worries me. I mean, a lot of people say, "Well, we don't want those big planes coming here." Well, hang on. If there's nothing else, wouldn't you rather? Because if you had a longer runway, right, that would be insurance in case, just say Skybus pulled out, Aurigny wouldn't be capable because they won't have the Dornier, so they can't come to us. If Skybus pulled out, we'd be left with nothing. I don't know what we'd do then. Or is this a way of Aurigny slowly pulling out? I have my suspicions about it.
I guess so. Just to kind of worries to take us back to when you were first working at Aurigny. Oh, yeah. What were the connections that we had back then in terms of the Channel Islands? Could we have gone to Jersey or Guernsey?
Yeah. We used to go to Jersey, and it was quite a good route, a busy route. It used to wash its face all through the year. We used to, I think we used to ease off in January and February because they're really dead months in Alderney. Even when we were having the 100,000 passengers a year, 90-odd thousand passengers a year. Even then, it washed its face. It were an average 11 or 12 to Jersey. All the golfers used to come across, and it was just another link. And we need it desperately, and we need it now. We really do need that.
So what do you think happened then? And I know it's not just an Alderney problem, but like transportation in general has got more expensive and the passenger numbers has fallen. What do you think the main sort of trigger for that landslide has been?
P&R slammed £70 on the Guernsey fare at a whim because of the PSO. Nothing to do with the management.
Sorry, just so we're talking the state's policy and finance have given a subsidy.
P&R in
policy.
Guernsey, I see. And resources.
Right.
In Guernsey, the last policy and resources slammed 70. Well, by a majority. Okay, slammed 70 quid on the fare from Guernsey to Alderney. Well, that's one of your things. I mean, you can't absorb that.
Sure. You can't. And do you know why that decision was made? Was it to cover
to take 500,000 off the PSO?
I see. So the PSO is the subsidy. So that's a subsidy which has been reduced.
Yep.
And so they've put the cost onto Alderney residents.
I don't think the PSO should even exist. It should never have been coughed up. It should not. They said that they would provide a service to Alderney. They didn't say you're going to be paying £2 million a year for it. Right? And it's edged all the way along. So Alderney's been squeezed and squeezed and squeezed with that. And we need to rebuild that. We really do need to rebuild that. But I'm just worried now, if we're going to have the 800 plus meter runway and only small aircraft can land here, well, where are we going to get them? What happens if Skybus go? Aurigny can't fly to us. Aurigny can't connect to us.
But this is mad. I mean, Aurigny is Alderney.
Yes, absolutely. And we were promised. And I've got it written down. I wish I'd bought that. I didn't realise we were going to go into that. But the promises that they gave us in 2003, So it was managerial decisions.
I was going to say, yeah, it seems like it's the leadership of Aurigny and the leadership. I mean, I don't know about how Guernsey works, and I'm sure we'll talk about your time as a representative for Alderney, but an airline that's owned by a government just doesn't seem like a good idea in terms of efficiency,
You're right.
Functionality. It's
work.
like there's no leadership. It's like there's not one person who's going to be responsible for that.
Doesn't work.
But that happened. Why did the states of Guernsey purchase Aurigny?
Because of the slots. They wanted the slots for Gatwick, and they wanted to protect them. And the airline, I forget it which one, it was a British Airways or something, were pulling out at that time. And so Guernsey said, well, hang on a minute, we need that. So they purchased them. with the company, along with the company. But we thought we'd be more stable with the government behind us, rather than having Extra or the Close Brothers as private individuals owning it. But it was wrong. Sir Derek Bailey, we talked about, you mentioned him before. I was asked, and another member of the staff there were asked, to ask him to come and collect, as an honour, a big painting of him, or a photograph, and have a do for him. And he refused. So we were then asked, two of us were asked to go down to his place and try and persuade Sir Derek to accept the honour. And he took us in the house and he told us many stories. Lovely man. Lovely man. And at the end he said, look, boys, if I was going to come for anybody, I would come for you, ground staff. He said, but I'm not coming. He said, because the States of Guernsey have purchased Aurigny, and it will never be the same. That's what he said. And that's why I'm not coming. He was annoyed they'd purchased it. So that was a big leveler for me, because he was the man that knew, he was the guy that brought us all this connectivity over all those years. If you consider how many years, it was, 50 odd years. So, yeah.
So
I had some fun up there, though.
Clearly, the last few decades has been spent talking about this issue,
Yeah.
and I'm very I'm looking forward to your to hearing more about this. And I know
well, I'm writing something on
that. I think that's going to be fantastic. I guess beyond the runway and beyond the airline itself, you've been a States member for such a long time now, since 2013.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how. And first of all, I want to thank you as well for really representing the island, because it's actually it's a really thankless job.
It is.
I think a lot of people are experts in everything, until they get confronted with ideas or facts that they have no idea about, and then they just completely dismiss you. Being a States member must be difficult, and it seems like there's a lot of personalities that people care way more about than they do about the actual progress.
Absolutely.
What's sort of been your biggest lesson, as a politician on a small island?
It takes time to get to know people. It takes time to get to know new people, and I've seen some things that I would never repeat, and I cannot repeat. that astound me. We've had good people on there as well, really good people, and but all seem to stumble at the last hurdle and that. And the whole thing is, it's the connectivity thing. I'll go on about it again. I'm going to. But until you get affordable connectivity, Alderney cannot flourish. We cannot attract business for their staff and things like that. And it would do. This could be the jewel of the Channel Islands. I have no doubt whatsoever. We're closer to France. We've got the tidal power. We've got the wind power, greater wind power than anybody else. So this really could be the centre for investment, and get the right people to invest here. But you have to have connectivity, affordable, because it's ridiculous. The prices are really ridiculous.
So how much is it now? I think if you go on Aurigny right now, it's probably 200 quid single.
Guernsey.
That's not fair
No.
for the people that live on Alderney, young families who want their kids to go off, and I'm even going to get a dentist appointment or something. Or
that's right.
I had a whiplash during Alderney week this year.
Did you?
Immediately I was like, all right, I need to get to Guernsey. I need to get to a chiropractor or something. And you look at the price, you're like, oh my God, I can't even afford it. And I can see it.
Yeah.
I can literally see it. I can see all the Channel Islands from Alderney.
Yeah.
And I can't get to Jersey. I mean, obviously we've got another airline who's attempting it, and we've got some boats and stuff. You are absolutely right. I mean, without connectivity, we are done.
We're just lost. Get that right, and you'll get everything right. Get it correct. Get all the people around the table. Get them agreeing, and get Guernsey seeing our point. That's a bit. I'm hopeful that the new PNR will come and see our point. Because if Alderney works and we succeed, the deficit goes down, everything works. You know, you attract business, you attract everything, and just do it. But you've all got to agree, and that doesn't all very often happen.
Can you give me an overview then of how politics in the bailiwick of Guernsey works? Because obviously Alderney is within the bailiwick of Guernsey, but we have our own states, and yet we're also part of the 1948 agreement that allows us to be part of a bigger jurisdiction. I mean, it's a bit of a mess, but if you can try and explain it to me in really, really simple terms.
Well, they've got their view now that we have 20 new deputies in Guernsey. 20.
Is that the total amount of deputies?
No, no, there's 38.
Right, and there's 20 new
40,
people.
40 with the 2 Alderney reps. But the 38, there's 20 new ones. They're unknown quantities. So I don't know what their views will be. Some of the existing ones I know, I do know their views. And a lot of them are quite good.
But in terms of like getting things done, I mean, like, is there an assembly or like a House of Parliament type thing? Like, what I understand,
you know, the assembly, and everything gets debated, like? and the amendments come in, and you get snowed down with amendments. Amendment here, amendment there, amendment there, and it gets snowed down, slowed down, and stuff. They try to bring stuff through, and it gets watered down a bit more and a bit more. So it's a time-consuming process.
I was going to say
it's similar to the mainland, actually, where they bring amendments all the time.
So it's very time-consuming, and I think that's one of the big reasons why I really respect states members, because it's like it's so time-consuming, and someone's got to do it. And
I loved it on the States of Guernsey. I loved it when I didn't have to go anymore, because I've been there 6 years. I would go in for 3 days, nearly every 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks.
Wow.
So, and you're away from your family, and I love my family. And when you're away for that amount of time, after 6 years, it gets too much for you. And I've been so happy. I've done so much other stuff since here for myself. It makes you think. And you know, I used to sit in the States of Guernsey and make a speech and so on, and sit down, and I had to pinch myself from that guy that used to walk the streets with hopelessness, with no baggage, with nothing, no possessions in the world, and just tramp the streets, not knowing where I was going for 3 years. And I ended up representing my island in the States of Guernsey, and I felt so proud. And to be vice president of Alderney still, which I am so proud. And my parents would have been so proud, but they never knew. But it just shows you, you know, if anybody's listening out there who's experienced homelessness, don't write these people off. Please, don't write them off. They're capable of anything.
It's a fascinating story, it really is.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, Alderney, for many people who don't know it exists, has its quirks. It's got its amazing community.
It has.
How would you sell Alderney to people who've never heard of it?
Just come. You listen to what they say when they've been once. There's 2 people sitting outside my house up on Windy Corner, and I saw them, and they were on this odd bit of grass. And I just walked up to them and spoke to them. I said, how are you? Yeah, just here. Oh, we're just here for the day. We've just flown in. It was a birthday present. Do you know what? We're coming back. It's fantastic. Everybody talks to you. Everybody's nice. And she said, I can't get over what a nice place it is, and how nice the people are. And that's the thing that sells Alderney. We're very lucky. You know, we're going back years and years and years, and we've still got it, and we want to keep that. There's a lot of things on the States where they want to change things. People come to the States. I'm going to go on the States. But the first thing they want to do, and they love Alderney, the first thing they want to do is change it. Think first what you're changing.
Interesting.
I'm not a big one for process and adding to it.
Yeah, I mean, there is a new group of states members who've recently been elected. What would be your advice to that new generation?
Exactly what I've just said.
Yeah, just be aware.
Be aware.
Yeah,
what you're changing, because it can make so much difference to Alderney. Just a slight smidge. I once I went across with he's not with us anymore, with a dentist who flew for Aurigny. And years and years ago, before anywhere else was there, it was a Trylender. And they sent us to Bournemouth to pick up some fruit and veg. So they wanted a lifter man to go with him to help him load the plane. We should bring fruit and veg and all sorts of stuff in those days. It was fantastic. And he said, I sat up front with him, and he said, come on, you're going to fly this. And I couldn't believe it. So I sat there with the controls going across the English Channel in this Trylender.
Oh my God, Steve.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, he was there. He only had one finger.
Wow.
No, he'd lost a finger. But rumour was he used to be in another trade and he chopped it off to be a pilot to get the compensation.
Interesting.
No, listen,
how is it flying a Trylender?
It's what we were talking about, sensitive. It was just like touching that.
And it would just move.
And it would move. And I couldn't get over how precise and sensitive an aircraft is, because that's the only time I've ever done that. And it was amazing that he let me do it. But
most people fly these little like tutorial planes and stuff. You went straight for the Trylender.
Yeah. And when you're behind the desk, people very nicely sometimes want to pour their heart out to you. They haven't got anybody at home, perhaps, and they'll tell you a problem, and you share that problem with them. And there's a lot more to that job than what you think. Really is. I mean, there's one time we had to start asking for passports. A French lady came, and I said, I need to see your passport. So she starts fiddling with her jumper. So I didn't know what she was doing. So all of a sudden the strap comes down here, right? And then another strap went up down there, and she pulls out her one sleeve, her whole bra, put it on the counter, and her passport was in the bra.
Oh my Lord, that's such a French thing.
And it was grey. The bra was grey, right? Okay. So I went, oh, okay. And I had to keep a straight face. And it was all, I said, it's all in order, that's fine. But that's the sort of unusual quirks. I mean, I could tell you so many stories like that. Honestly,
What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen as ground staff? I mean, you must have had to transport a lot of things over the years. I mean,
two guys jumped out once out of an aircraft and started screaming and shouting, and they were supposed to be in Guernsey. They were Jersey Guernseys, but security was so lax in those days. They got on the wrong aircraft. Nobody counted them, and they landed in Alderney, and they were fuming. Absolutely fuming, yeah.
Wow. I mean, because obviously a lot has changed in aviation. I think 2001 had a big impact on. I mean, what was the impact of
9/11
of that terror attack?
That was a massive attack, because I got a phone call at Aurigny, and they said, "Well, Steve," I said, "Yeah." So he said, "Right, Southampton can't go tonight." I said, "Why not?" He went, "You've got no security. You've got to have security in Alderney." I said, "Oh, well, what do you expect me to do? They can't go then, can it?" He said, "No, it's going to go." I said, "Why?" He said, "You are security."
Oh my God.
Right. He said, "No questions, no answers. Do it." And he put the phone down. So I thought, what am I going to do? So what I had to do was to get all the baggage. It was totally wrong. Totally wrong. I mean, this is in the early days, I'm aware. All the baggage I had to search in arrivals where it arrives by hand. And that's the only way we could allow. I said, all done. All the baggage is searched. All right, the aircraft can go.
Wow.
So I was the very first
security guard.
man in
I love
Alderney.
that. You can kind of understand why it was such an intense period of time. I mean, I imagine if you worked at a bigger airport, you probably were on a bit of a alert.
Yeah.
But did you? I mean, what was it like for you, sort of reacting
We all thought it was crazy, actually. I mean, New York, Alderney, you know, it's just a sort of overkill and stuff like that. I know it's all compliance now, isn't it?
Sure.
And I don't think the world's a better place for it. Too much of it. There's too many. There's things you can't say. You have to be guarded. You can't say this. You can't say that. You can't do this. You can't do that. And it's crushed society a little bit, I think. I think it's gone too far.
You don't strike me as someone that cares too much about what other people think about you.
No.
I mean,
I get on with most people. Do you know that?
Sure.
I'm very lucky.
Yeah, very respectful.
Very lucky. I get on with most people. There's not many. And I can tell instantly they are, and I just avoid them. There's not many.
But I mean, going back, you know, it seems like your experience in life has given you empathy.
Yeah. It has. Yeah, those hard years. But as I said, those hard years made me think and made me appreciate what I've got, made me appreciate my children, just made me appreciate anything. I've just been so lucky to be of help by the women in my life. I never thought anything. I wouldn't have imagined that when I was walking the streets with nothing, or wondering where I was going to sleep, and the bad nights I've had when I've laid down on a bench and somebody's actually trying to literally nick the coat off my back. Yeah.
So when people came to you when you're ground staff and they've got all these problems, and you know you made their problems your problems.
Yeah, of course, they care up there. The staff that you've got up here, I'd put them against anyone anywhere in the world. I know a lot of them are still my friends, and there's new guys up there. But I saw it the night before last. Exactly that. It's still alive. These guys are worth their weight in gold to Alderney, and they're Aurigny's greatest asset, in my view.
Fantastic. Yeah, I can't amplify that enough. Really, like the guys and girls that work at Aurigny, because of course you know there are girls that work at Aurigny, because you know every time customer service has to call up, I'm like, hello, and
Southampton, all the handlers seem girls.
Ah, well, there you go.
You look,
yeah,
nearly all girls.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So like the changes of, you know, job roles and stuff the world has changed considerably, but we have a lot younger people now working in the ground staff team, but they all seem to follow your legacy. I mean, we've got Steve Priller up at the airport now.
Thank goodness.
Thank God, showing them how things are done. You never get a cold reception.
No, but you've got good guys up there right behind him who've taken it on, and they are very good indeed. They'll go out of their way to help you.
Well, I think
you won't get that anywhere else in the world.
This is kind of like reminding me of like when you're talking about like being careful about changing things. I think obviously it's a very nuanced idea, but like if you don't have good role models, you don't necessarily know what the standard is or what to respect. And it seems to me that whether it's with Aurigny and their sudden change to become a state-owned airline, or new states members thinking they can just do whatever, role models are so important to say, okay, who was the last good person that did this? And now what are the qualities, or can they even advise me? Can they mentor me? You know, because I imagine that's something where a lot of people, if they're starting something from scratch, they don't have a mentor who's done it before. But you throw a stick and you'll hit anyone on Alderney that wants to help mentor you. And I feel like that's maybe the one thing that I'm maybe struggling with, because obviously I speak to a lot of people over here, but when I'm trying to get mentorship on Alderney about new things like digital marketing and stuff.
That's right.
Actually, there is no one that's done this before.
It's beyond me.
You know, even my old man.
Already, I'm lost.
Yeah, I mean, my dad used to be a filmmaker with all the big cameras and gear and stuff. And now he can't understand this world.
No.
And so, you know, it's a struggle, I think, the older and younger generation. But
just one point is just come back to me about my grandfather with the 60p. And the sixpence, right? At one point, he came here, and he was very musical. The Rowe family, because it was the Rowes that brought me up. He was very musical, and they had a family called the Rowe Band. This is in the late 1800s, and they all played musical instrument of some sort. And they actually moved out to the nunnery, and he farmed from there. And the story is that they found loads of coins in the wall. God knows what coins.
Roman coins, Victorian coins.
Yeah, they found a gun in there as well. But they were religious. He was Methodist. But the Methodist minister came up to my great grandfather's place at the nunnery, and he said, "You won't be conducting the band on Sunday because there's somebody bigwig coming, to attend." And he said, "Why can't I do that?" And he said, "Because you drink too much."
Oh no!
Yeah. My great grandfather. Okay, because you drink too much. So my great grandfather was so incensed by this. The band were playing on Sauchier Lane, and he jumped on his horse and he rode up Bluestone Hill, down Rongy Road, down High Street, and rode up Sauchier Lane and knocked the guy that was doing the conducting off his feet with the horse.
Oh my God!
And
rode him down.
Got in terrible trouble over it. Yeah. Ran him down with the horse. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because
he's had a couple.
He had a couple of bevies. Yeah. This is a bit of a. Alderney is.
It's dead. Without me, now that it was told to me, it's gone. It's gone forever. These stories. There are so many stories. They're washing. My great grandfather, had in Colonel Walter's house. He farmed.
The Colonel.
Yeah, he farmed from there. I think my Uncle Matt owned the house, the entrepreneur. And they've got a cellar in there where they used to do the washing. There's a stream runs under the house. There's still the washing in there. They hung the washing out. And one morning, they got up and all their washing had been nicked. Okay, all of it. So they called the police. Constable Workman, his name was, and he came down and he told my great grandfather, it must have been a left-handed man that stole the washing. How they came to that thing?
Some serious detective work.
I don't think they ever caught the guy, but he was a left-handed man, according to Constable Workman. Yeah.
Wow, they never got the washing back.
No, never found out who did it. No.
See, that's what I love about Alderney. There's so many petty little crimes.
Right.
I mean, I guess, what was Alderney like before the war? Like in terms of its history.
I know, it's incredible. I've only got these pinch pots of stories because my uncle was of a different generation. He was a lot older than my parents. He was born in 1897. Who brought me up? But he gave me all these stories from his parents. Because,
obviously Alderney's been here for thousands of years, and to think that there was people riding around on horses, and but they're Alderney people. They're the same as us.
Yeah, well, my son has traced our family tree. Now, my father, as I said, was an English guy that came from London. That was a rear gunner. But on my mother's side, my son has traced our family tree back to my ninth grandfather here.
So what would that be? How many years ago is that?
1590.
For God's sake, 500 years ago.
Yep.
On Alderney.
His name was Duplat.
Duplat.
Yep.
Ooh, very similar to some of the names that
I've told him.
Yeah.
You're probably related to me.
Hell,
but there was lots of a lot of our big family names was Pezet. Pezet, Audoir, Lecoq, Herival.
But these are French, right? Or they come from a French sort of dynasty? Because I believe so. William the Conqueror, I believe, was the one who sort of made Alderney part of the UK. Because before that, I assume we were part of France.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think.
I don't know. I don't know.
We're gonna have to get a real history buff on here, aren't we?
Somebody that knows.
Yeah, someone that knows. I want to take a very quick break to thank Bell & Co for helping to sponsor this episode. If you're looking for a place to live on Alderney, whether it's renting or buying, go and visit Bell & Co. They have all the information about what's available on Alderney and can also help guide you to some of the best things to do on the island. Go and visit bellandcoalderney.com and find out how you can escape to paradise. Back to the episode. But your history, I mean, certainly the stories.
Mine are just tales.
Yeah,
Mine are just tales that were told to me.
Oh, here's one. We've got a few ghost stories in Alderney, and I was talking about this.
I can tell you a ghost story.
Hit me, Steve. Tell me some ghost stories.
Well, Sharp's Farm. Okay. There was from the Gordon Highlanders. There was Sharp came across. I think it was Archie Sharp came across, and he was stationed in Fort Albert. And the Sharps ended up at Sharp's Farm. You know where that is, boy, as you go to. And many, many years ago, excuse me, coughing. There was a young girl, a relation of mine, and her young son were found with their throats cut.
On Alderney,
there. And they didn't know if it was murder, and they didn't know if it was suicide, and they had a suspect, but they could never prove anything, and they never knew. And she's buried just outside the church gate. I can show you any time you like, next to my great grandfather. And the mother, her mother, was so destroyed by it, she disappeared. And they found her footsteps in the sand going into Corblets. And they say that on a certain night of the year, across Longy Common, you can hear a baby cry. How about that?
Right? Oh gosh! All right,
that's a family story.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. That sent a little shiver up my spine. That is.
Well, somebody came down and they said the same thing, and they brought a medium down, and the medium went around various places because they were doing an investigation. ITV were doing it. I forget her name now. And the medium went down. She said to the great, she's a very nice looking woman. She was, and she was only like 21 when they found her with the throat cut with a baby. And the story within the family, and I hadn't told them this, that she was a very nice looking girl. How did the medium know that? I don't know.
Wow. I know that there are spiritual groups on the island.
Are they?
Yeah.
I believe there's something. You see, although I don't go to, I'm not a church-going man. I was made to go to church twice every Sunday when I was a child. I got in trouble for nicking off and going bird's nesting, and they found out because the pastor went around the house and told them where was I. But I used to go. But although I'm not a big church goer, I've always believed that there's something else. I've always believed there is a spiritual world that I don't understand, and who else doesn't understand. I mean, because I've experienced it myself on other occasions, without going silly into it. So I believe there is more goodness out there than badness. Much more goodness than badness.
Well, I mean, Alderney is full of lots of spirits, not just the alcoholic ones, and particularly because I mean, look, we've had so much history here, and and brutality. Like it's very hard to ignore the fact that the Nazis were here and that they had prisoners of war.
We don't know the numbers.
So it's going to be a massive argument until
they're unproven, aren't they?
Can't
if you put a body in the sea, it's never seen again, is it? So they don't know. They really don't know.
But there is.
I think that Alderney, and it is a personal belief, I think there should be some reparation for what happened. Those people, they were heaved off in their boats, weren't they? I had 4 generations on those boats. My great grandparents, which was the one of the rows I was telling you about. My grandparents, my mother, and my unborn sister. I had 4 generations on those boats. Now, the older generation that were like in their 70s and 80s, a lot of them didn't come back. My great-grandparents died within 3 months of each other, and they were devoted. She died first. from breast cancer, and he died of a broken heart. And they never came back, and they never saw victory. They never knew that we had victory. They never saw their home again. Those are the real casualties as well that are never really mentioned. We mention the home covers, and they're great, and there's a celebration. But I'm trying to get a memorial, a life-size memorial, erected. I'm trying to raise the money for it. I've got to do crowdfunding some way or another. I don't really know. To have a memorial of a family leaving with their one bag that they were allowed with, because a lot of those people just never came back. And it was it's not just my grandparents didn't come back. People will be coming out if they see this this recording saying, yeah, such and such didn't come back. They didn't come back. They didn't come back. There must be loads of Alderney people never made it back to Alderney because of their age and illnesses and things, and never knew victory, never saw their home again.
Well, I would like to encourage anyone who does have stories of Alderney's past to get in touch with me, because this is one of the beauties of being able to have a conversation that can be captured and put online forever. That's is that we don't have to keep repeating it. It's not lost.
These stories, I'll tell you, are not lost because I've told you.
Yeah. Well, now you've told.
Well, I rejoice in that. I rejoice in that.
Of
really.
course.
You know, I mean, I told the whole story going back from my great-great-grandfather with his sixpence and it changing his life to come to Alderney, and his sons going to war and becoming entrepreneurs and building places like they did do and fighting in the First World War, to me being homeless, to coming back and being a states member and vice president of Alderney and on to Guernsey State. They said, that's a book. It's a family. It's a book. I mean, I'm not capable of putting all that together, but it is if you think about it. You know, the chain of events.
It's amazing. What would you call it?
I couldn't. Goodness knows.
Sixpence.
You could have called it the sixpence, yeah.
It's amazing. And now you just spoke about entrepreneurship there, because you're an entrepreneur. You and your wife started a paper shop, right?
Yeah, we were lucky. We got lucky.
Well, you call it luck, but is there a part of you that, I mean, I think Alderney's surrounded by entrepreneurship. I think actually that's the one reason why Alderney exists.
There is something.
It's amazing. I mean, there's a lot of self-starters here, and the island needs those self-starters. And we've spoken to my dad and Clive about the Georgian and what Holly did at the Georgian and everything. But there's every so often
they've done amazing.
There's an injection of energy into this community that just grows it and grows it and grows it
in a difficult environment.
Yeah.
They try.
They do try. They do. But you were saying, I mean, that Alderney when you were younger, I mean, it had a lot more farms. Clearly, it had lots of fishing boats.
Loads of fishing. My Uncle Bobby and Uncle Matt Allen, they fished together for years and years and years, and just on a long line. They used to fish long lines, which just catching fish on hooks.
Bring it back to Alderney, and then
it didn't do pots or anything like that. No.
Wow. And so we are kind of at the mercy of the world now, and like globalization and communication is we're so part of a bigger world. And obviously Alderney was already small, and now it's got smaller in comparison to the rest of the world. But do you think that people's behaviors now is like trying to look now for somewhere safe and small rather than the big cities, which are quite dangerous? And where better would you bring? I mean,
knowing what we know, where better place would you want to come from the big cities? Really, it's a no-brainer. At this moment in time, there's no restrictions. You can just come. House prices are well affordable at this moment in time.
Very much so, yeah.
Compared to England. You come here and there's just, and you think, what is the restriction here? There's no death duties. There's all of that, and there's just, everything's here. I mean, I was talking to a guy who was thinking of putting a business into Alderney and that, and he said it's just the transport that really does it. Forgetting, I mean, you talk about doing everything online now and doing it, but they're going away from that now because the staff aren't happy. Apparently, 60% of the staff don't like it. They'd rather be in an office.
Yeah, the whole work from home thing.
Looking at people in the eye when they're doing their business, rather than it's a good thing to have. I mean, I don't understand why Guernsey and Alderney don't use it more for consultations, medical consultations, because you save so much. You just because sometimes you go to Guernsey for a consultation, and all they do is say a couple of words to you. They don't even examine you, and they're great people. Don't get me wrong. And then you come back. Oh, if you'd have just sat on a screen, they could have told you the same stuff. It saves a fare, doesn't it? It saves taxi fares and everything else.
Well, I'm sure these things will evolve naturally. But you just touched on there, like, the sort of medical stuff. I mean, there are people who would be concerned about moving to a small island because of a lack of medical care. I mean, what is the medical care like on Alderney? I mean, I'm asking this knowing full well the answer, but can you tell me, how you think Alderney deals with standard?
Well, they deal with the very best that they can. It used to be far easier when we had the Trilanders, because they used to call me up or Steve or one of the others, but mostly me and Steve. They call you up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Steve got air med. You'd be in bed. So 5 minutes, you're at the airport. Seats out, stretcher in. The ambulance would be up there in 20 minutes, and that aircraft would be airborne within 20, 25 minutes if it was an emergency. I've seen babies born up there. I have.
At the airport?
Yeah, at the airport, going across the runway, squatting, going to the airport. I've seen deaths, unfortunately. I've seen all life and death. I've seen babies coming back and the joy on their faces, on the couple showing the baby off. I've seen all life up there. It was a marvelous job for me, and I loved it. Loved every minute of it. Yeah.
Well, I certainly loved having you there as well, because you became a part of my life as well. Like the first face to see. Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing. I think I also remember the first time the airport got Wi-Fi,
Right.
because I think it was one of the only places on the island that had Wi-Fi. So I used to bring my little laptop up to the airport and sit there and just watch the world go by.
Yeah.
And it's the hub of the island, and I know recently there's obviously the political ideas and stuff like that. Like, is it right to say that airport was never built as a permanent structure?
Well, I think it was at the time. Saying, "Oh, this is it," but I mean, look. It's not really good, is it?
Well, I mean it's falling apart a little bit.
Have you been up the last couple of days?
I have, but not.
They put a new departure lounge in there. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
There's 2 porta cabins together, and it's going to be much better than it was. But why didn't they do that 10 years ago?
I see. Yeah.
Well, is that telling us? Is that telling us we're not getting a new terminal?
Oh God. Well, I think probably. I mean, but when you look at
you're spending that money now, is that, well, it's not too bad, really.
The thing is, I don't know anything about airports. I don't know anything about runways. I would stick to my own sort of experience, as would you. But there is one thing, is when I'm on that runway, and I was lucky enough to do some filming for an exercise with the fire brigade last year, and it was the first time I walked down the runway, and I looked at the state of the runway. I'm not an expert in runways, but it didn't look.
I know.
Safe.
And it's not going to happen. Those repairs aren't going to happen sometime soon. You keep getting messages that it will, but they ain't going to. I think it could face closure before then if they don't watch it. It's that bad. It's that serious. Yep.
Well, I mean, we have thankfully talked this topic into fruition to a point where, like, people are trying to do something about it, and I'm really glad
they're trying.
Yeah,
but notices I'm getting from Guernsey, it ain't gonna happen yet.
Well, with the new generation of states members, which we have to be optimistic, we have to give them all of our best luck.
Well, I hope so. Nobody will be more pleased than me.
Oh God, yeah, oh, for sure. And sometimes this is like it's an achievement that you won't be able to see happen, but the next person, you've already done half the work, right? That's the point, is that like the baton that you passed wasn't just left on the floor.
No, I think that I played a strong part in getting rid of the last administration at Aurigny, because I went to war with them for a few years. You probably remember that. I had 2 rockets in the States of Alderney, giving a vote of no confidence in the management there, and I think that was the beginning of end for that particular administration. You see, they expanded so much that Alderney suffered. It was at Alderney's expense. Oh, we only need 2 aircraft for Alderney. That's ridiculous. And that's when they started. That's when 2 aircraft was earmarked for Alderney.
How many did we have before with the Trilanders?
Well, 7 or 8.
Jesus. So how do we go from 7 or 8 down to 2?
Yeah. Gradually, slowly. Oh, they don't need that. That was the thing. They're saving money to do the regionals, to keep the cost, to keep the loss of millions down.
This sounds like a consultant is involved.
Alderney just suffered, and we became, second class, if you like, in my view.
Yeah.
It's just, I might be biased.
It's named Alderney.
Yeah, because I'm Alderney, and I just feel that was the reason. They spent so much money on other aspects.
Okay, I'm gonna put it out to you now, because I've been waiting for the day that Netflix comes along and makes a documentary about Aurigny, and I don't think they're ever going to.
Oh, right. Okay.
But you know, because there's not a lot of people that care about this issue. But what I would say is, if there's anyone on Alderney that wants to fund the making of a documentary about the airline of Aurigny, I would love to make a proper film about what happened, because I meet so many people who have been part of Aurigny over the years, a lot of pilots and a lot of people like yourself.
Some great guys, real characters.
Who will tell you exactly the names of the people who did what and what, you know. But the normal people in the pubs, we don't really understand the conflict that went on in that time. And, you know, it almost seems like we got hoodwinked into believing that, you know, this takeover was going to work. And when you look at traditional businesses and mergers and acquisitions over the years, this is not a new thing, right? It's like it happens. Like, new people come in, they cut the fat, and then they watch it die. And that's where I think Alderney needs a real investigation. That isn't just a piece of paper or a research document, a documentary. You know, something that you could watch on Netflix, interviews with people like yourself. I would love to do that.
You've got to get Netflix interested.
Oh, I don't think Netflix would ever be interested, but
they might be.
If the film was made really well, like if it was made really, really well,
or about Alderney in itself, you know, how it's come through from the 1700s, how it's come all the way through the wars, how everything's happened here. You know, that would be a story and a half. You know.
Well, I would be,
and you could have your characters in it.
I would be lining up to make it, my friend. Do you know, the worst thing is it's all about money, and everything costs money, you know. And I think
have you spoken to them?
To Aurigny?
No.
To States? Netflix. No, you know, I haven't, you know, but you know, Netflix commission their own original shows, and then there's a load of production companies who are interested in Alderney. You know, I recently worked with Sky and Channel 4, helping them when they came to Alderney, just as a bit of a location fixer. I just naturally fell into this job because when they go online and they look at all my videos, they always get in touch with me saying, Cam, we're sending a production company, you know, a team over here, and they do something, and I take them round.
That's right. Do you have Channel 4 around or something?
We had Channel 4 making Tiny Islands, which I hope to see that out probably by the time this comes out. But what's funny is that they always send you the call sheet, and this call sheet's so proper, and it's the names of every restaurant on the island, taxi company on the island, and you kind of look at their call sheet and you go, oh, that's not there anymore. That person died. you realize, you're like, so you speak to the production manager, you're like, do you want me to just be with you the whole time? They're like, yeah, sure, if you could. And then the moment they get here, they're like, oh, it really is just a tiny island. You're like, yep, get in a car.
Well, it's like when Hugh Fernley Whittingstall came here. I mean, I don't know how he got hold of it, Alderney, but he did. And I ended up running him around in my lorry, running the whole film crew around for the whole 4 days that were there.
Oh, wow.
And they were incredible. And we cooked down on the beach with him, with a couple of people. And that's been on, I've seen that shown on long haul flights.
Really? Oh my God, you must be so proud.
And he came back. Not really. He was a nice bloke, actually. And I looked at in the back of my truck one day. I've always got a story, haven't I? And they cleared all their gear out, and I dropped them. I think they were stopping up near Simrock. And there was a pair of white underpants on the floor, left. And I picked him up with a stick, and I shouted to one of the guys going there. I said, somebody's left something. And he came back, grabbed them, he said, they're Hugh's. I should have kept them. I sold them on eBay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
For a bit?
No, I didn't.
No,
I didn't. I could have done.
You could have done. That's incredible. Well, I've always thought that, you know, I mean, we've had some amazing celebrities over the years here.
Wonderful,
We've had,
yeah.
I mean, Eliza Barriford, she might not have been the biggest celebrity, but she was definitely the most cherished.
She was great. She was lovely.
Julie Andrews, Ian Botham.
That's right.
You know, we're almost...
Tim White was here.
Well, look, we're
Author of Sword of the Stone.
We're waiting for a new one. Like, when's the next celebrity going to come in?
I don't know.
Maybe we need to invite them. Maybe that's what the States of Alderney should
the
be doing.
Hellraiser, is it Oliver Reed?
Oliver Reed, yes.
He used to come here. Hurricane Higgins.
Hurricane Higgins, as in John Higgins?
Hurricane Higgins, he was a snooker player. He died from lung cancer a few years ago, but he was world champion.
Oh, of course he did.
And he was a Hellraiser.
I didn't know he came here.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love snooker.
Fighting in the sheds and all sorts.
Well, he was a very big drinker, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we need then, we need celebrities that like drinking, love being off the radar. I mean, like you got to admit that if like Justin Bieber was walking around here, no one would bother him. Yeah, like Justin, if you're listening to this,
he could just be himself.
Right, literally, no one's going to care.
Nobody's going to know and care,
and they're not even going to know who you are. That's the point, you know. And I think that's maybe something. That's one of the things that I wish that we could just do a little bit more consistency on this island. Is that okay? So we know that we don't want to be the new Ibiza, but we can easily reach out to these production companies, filmmakers, these celebrities, and say, look, we know you don't. I mean, more importantly, it used to cost a piece of paper and a stamp.
Yeah,
it doesn't cost that anymore. It's now an email.
Yeah.
So why the hell is someone's full-time job not just to be sending 20 emails a day?
I know.
And making these invites? Because that one person could really help transformation in this island.
They think you're on for personal make, and you're not. You want to make for the island.
Yeah, I mean,
are you with me?
You wouldn't be here otherwise, would you?
You wouldn't be here for otherwise. So I'm not out to make for myself. I'm trying to show you something that could really, really, really work. And I mean, they do a very good job down at our tourism and everything. I don't think the island's sold enough in London, places like that. People don't even know who we are. I mean, I'm friends with quite an eminent London doctor. And he said to me, well, you don't sell it. He said, you never see the name in London. He said, you never see it, Steve. I said, well, what would you do? Well, I'd have it in the Financial Times. I'd have a streamer, but it costs you a lot of money, but do it. That, about the financial advantages of coming here. And there are many. And you're a stone's throw from the mainland. You're a stone's throw from France. I'm surprised the French don't, with their taxation laws.
Well, we're certainly working to make Alderney more seen. I think it is difficult because this isn't that we've never had this type of technology change so quickly. Social media is not something. I mean, when I first started doing social media marketing 10 years ago, we were just the young people brought into a company to do that one thing.
Yeah.
Well, now we're half the company.
Yeah.
And so actually the importance of social media actually cannot be more emphasized. And
it can't.
I think it's what's sad is that Alderney's missed its opportunity to grow during the early days of social media. And we're now in this problem where actually it's so busy online. There's so much things online that people are seeing that even if Alderney wanted to get involved and start making videos about what Alderney's like to live here, to get those seen is harder and harder and harder. And so, I mean, look, like that will always be my mission. And I don't think that, I don't think I've done everything right, in terms of campaigning to try and get digital marketing used on Alderney. I feel like I've probably been more silent than anything. Like I've actually had lots of independent meetings with everybody instead of just making a film about it and telling everyone, here's what I want to do. Because you gotta realize that actually this is free. The ability to communicate with people online. It's not the Financial Times, but we have the ability to show up every single day online for free, and we're not doing that. And so that's my hope is that we end up taking that more seriously. But I think it is about, and I've seen now how your committees work. It's a nightmare. The fact, I mean, me and you can sit here and we can chat really well and come up with an idea, but once you're in that semicircle, and you're sort of in the middle of everyone's got their own different opinion, and and it's so difficult to get anything done.
Yeah, it is.
So I mean, I'm not surprised that digital marketing has not been adopted yet.
No,
Seriously.
it should be.
Well, look, I mean, the praise I would give our tourism guys is the fact that when you come to this island now, there's so much to do in terms of, you know, the history, the walking, the wildlife, like
Yeah.
like fantastic.
They do a great job.
Now we just got to get people online to see it.
To see it, that's right. Exactly. Get them here.
This conversation is I'm very proud to have this because you know we've touched on so many things, both personal, political, but and as a community, I mean, I think this is what we're trying to say to people in the outside world. Like, you know, you don't come to this island to be Billy Big Bollocks. Like, if you want to do that, go to Dubai, go to Vegas. You want to splash your cash, but you come to this island and you almost feel a duty to give back, and you can. And those people that do add up to, you know, it's the sum of our parts.
Yeah.
The whole island is working as a team here. What do you hope that the future of Alderney is going to turn out like? What would you like us to do, the younger generation, to uphold the values?
Well, we've got to provide those things for you, or a platform for you to do that. And I think the states have to help more with exactly what you're saying. But recognize that this is the way forward. This is a very different world now. And if you want to progress in that, this is the world that you're going to have to live in, whether you like it or not. And find out how it works. Get some momentum going, and support it, because I do support it. You know I do.
I appreciate it. Of course I do. Well, likewise, and I'd be very interested in helping you with your book as well. I mean, your Aurigny book, and then anything else. I mean, like, what I love about, I mean, let me be frank. If I was in London, I would be getting paid a lot of money to do these kind of things, but for companies I don't care about, and I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't feel meaningful.
This is your home. You know, I can understand what you're doing.
It's your home.
I can see
it's our home.
Our home.
Yeah.
I can understand what's driving you.
Yeah.
And I wish you every success, because if you succeed, we succeed.
Well, there's definitely a future on this island. My mum always says that God's not making any more land. And that's for sure. I mean, there is sometimes when I look out at the beaches and stuff, and I think, God, what would this island be like if we had 5,000 people living here?
I know.
You know,
wasn't it 8,000 when the soldiers were here?
Yeah, of course.
8,000.
That's mad, isn't it?
It's mad.
Yeah, and then like even going back, you know, I don't know what the demographics are going to do, because we all know that we're at the end of a kind of a boom. You know, there was a boom in the, you know, after the war, the baby boomers. You know, you know, we as young people are experiencing this across the world. Trying to figure out what next. Because to be really honest with you, most of us will never be as wealthy as our parents were, but we are certainly inheriting a new world with all this technology. But then you realize that
there's other wealth in the world.
There's other wealth in the world, and community is not emphasized enough.
That's right. Yeah.
Particularly in London and stuff. My friends, they're starting to get wealthy now. You know, they're making companies and they're getting married and stuff. But you ask them, like, so, you know, who's your neighbors? And I don't know.
And they're not really happy. They're working till 11 o'clock at night on a screen. You know,
it's so true. It's so true, man.
I know that's true.
Well, you've seen it with your kids. Yeah. You know what it feels like.
Yeah, I've got another one. But he's not so bad because he's not so much in the office. My eldest son, he travels the world. He sells computer systems, and he goes all over the world every week. I don't know where he is this week. It could be anywhere in the world, but he'll send me a message. Wherever he is, you know.
I reckon people are going to want to find community more and more.
And you say your kids are never going to be as rich as the bloody parents. Well, they can be.
They can be. No, for sure. I mean, like, there is just this argument amongst not just even our generation, but if you look at the wealthiest generation that's ever existed, it is the baby boomers. They got on the property ladder, and you know, could you know, I couldn't start a taxi company today because you got Uber. Maybe you could on Alderney, in fairness. You know, but what we're really talking about now is
talk about that.
What we want is to figure out, okay, so the next generation of people that live on Alderney, you know, what's the rules that you'd, from a local's perspective, you know, what social rules do we have here?
Well, I think we've got to provide them housing and give them a chance to get on the property market, or rent cheaply so they can save some money to get on the property market. I think that's the most important. We've got to concentrate on those. We've got to concentrate on keeping our children's, early learning open, because they can't go to work if they've got nobody to look after the kids. The wife can't work, and you need 2 wages if they want to progress. So we've got to look after those, and then we've also got to provide housing here, enough houses for those very people, or land, because a lot of them are in the building industry. Well, okay, that's fine. Give them a piece of land and say, well, off you go.
Build your own house.
Build your own house. You've got the skills. You're a builder, or your mate's an electrician, or your mate's a plumber. And they do it that way.
I have to say, I love the fact there's a few local younger people building their own houses, and they do not look like the same as their father's houses.
No,
and you think about that, you're like,
right,
that's very interesting. How the generations decide to just add something on, and and it's generational. But well, listen, I've never experienced anything as bizarrely comforting as this island as well. I mean, you must have had a lot of ups and downs over the years, and
not so much here. Not so much here.
No. But is that because
happy.
The people that you have on the island have been able to sort of to be there for you? I mean, like, you literally walk down the street and you'll find someone to talk to about your woes.
You go down Saturday morning, and how quick can you get down there? You can't, can you?
You can't.
You go in the supermarket. Jen will say, "Oh, where you been?" She expects it now. I'm gone for an hour to get one item.
It's so funny. Like, if you're in the mainland, people were like, "Yeah, my husband's gone out. He's been an hour at the supermarket. Oh, where's he been?"
Yeah, but it's lovely, isn't it?
Here,
it's community. It's proper community.
It really is,
and it still exists here. There's a lot of people I don't know here, because I don't do a lot of socialising now, as I used to do. So there's quite a few I don't know. But I get to know them in time, through the town, and I think they know me, and generally we've got a really nice community here.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It is. And the newcomers that come in and pick up a job to do, pick up a shovel and start digging. Yeah, like, they're the ones I get so excited about, because they're going to be here forever.
Volunteer.
Yeah,
they volunteer.
Oh, like, we're all volunteers here.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, there's somebody that I know that's got a business over here, and he's, "So how are you doing?" He's, "Oh, I've got volunteers."
Do you know what I'd really like? And this is only because you're a States member, and I want to I want to put on the table. I would like to see like a Spirit of Alderney award. Like, I don't care about the Bailiwick of Guernsey stuff, but I want
we should have a more
our own
personal.
Absolutely, and everyone submit the person that you think is this year's
Why
whatever.
Shouldn't we have our own award like that? It's a no-brainer, isn't it?
I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really good.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't think I'd ever win it, because there's plenty of people who would be far more recognised. But like,
you'd like to see it.
Of course I would. Yeah, because I think that's the thing that I think we're all struggling a bit. And what I like is, people will listen to this and they will hear your story, and it's healing. Yeah. We've had a lot of conflicts over the years, and the funny thing is about Alderney is that, if you had a rivalry 20 years ago, well, you're still going to have that rivalry until something, changes things.
Yeah, but they do. There are one or two just don't talk.
They don't talk at all.
But there's one or two that I know.
But that's like any
small community. It's rare.
It is. It is.
And it's only between them, because they're fine with everybody else.
We make our own drama.
Yeah, we do. We do.
It is like a bit of a sitcom, isn't it?
Yep.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Well, look, Steve. We're coming to the end of the episode.
That's fine.
But I want to know, is there anything else that you wanted to discuss today? I mean, anything on your mind?
No, not really. I mean, I watch it. I've got a few things on my mind. I might have to go for an operation quite soon. But I don't want to talk too much about that. I've never felt so proud. So when I was on the States of Alderney and on the States of Guernsey and Alderney Vice President, from what I used to be, homeless, and I've never ever, I had to pinch myself, really. I said, you've got there, you should be proud of yourself, and I am. Well, very, 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 very proud of myself.
Me
because
too.
I've done it for the people of Alderney, And I always do it for the people of Alderney, not myself. And I want to make it better. And if I get things wrong on something, I get things wrong. None of us are perfect. But all I care about is Alderney and the people that live here and their well-being. And that's what drives me now. Yeah.
Well, from humble beginnings to becoming a champion of the island.
Yeah.
Steve Roberts, thank you very much.
Thanks, Maurice. It's been an absolute pleasure.